Is smoking weed okay in college sports? A question I don't know the answer to, but let's talk about it.
You are Locked On West Virginia, your daily podcast on the West Virginia Mountaineers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, guys? Welcome back in. My name is Mountaineer Paul. I am your host. Welcome to Locked On West Virginia, guys. Sorry for the delays. I decided against going with the Preston Fox topic first. We're going to switch it up a little bit, but we do have a packed show. Preston Fox is back. That's not a lie. Rich Rod speaking out about weed. I feel like that's an important discussion. And Rhett Rodriguez. That's right, guys. Rhett Rodriguez, the son of Rich Rod, spoke as well today. So we got a lot going on. It's telling me that my X stream did not go up. I don't know what happened there, but I know it's having issues connecting to X today. So if you guys could, somebody go share the stream over on X, just if you can. Thanks, guys, for making Locked On West Virginia your first listen and for being a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where we talk about your team every single day. What a day it was today, indeed. With Rich Rodriguez broaching a subject I would have never expected to hear him broach, to be honest with you. And I am reading this from Skylar Callahan. This is his quote. So we shall see. We shall see. I see somebody in the comments. He didn't ban the TikTok, only the TikTok dances, which is pretty funny. That's like banning celebrations, isn't it? The use of cannabis by college athletes, it's not a banned substance now for those that don't know about this. Kind of a developing story. As we know, marijuana has been legalized in our country pretty much everywhere now. I mean, you can't go very many places where it's not. And so I'm going to give my thoughts on it as well, but Rich Rod gave his thoughts on it today, and he said, I know some people say it's good for you or it's not good for you. I said it was when it was against the rules. You can't do it because it's against the rules. That's like jumping off sides. Well, jumping off sides is against the rules, so you can't do it. Smoking marijuana was against the rules, so you couldn't do it. That was the end of the story. Well, now it's not against the rules. I don't know. I'm not knowledgeable enough to know whether it can hinder your performance or if it leads to other stuff. I just don't know. I know if you do anything in excess, the same way with alcohol, if you do anything in excess, it's probably not good for you. I would hope our guys are more focused on getting their education and playing big time football, being a good teammate, and we're not worrying about getting high. So that's going to cause some rifts, let's say, because there are a lot of people that are going to, if this gets in the wrong hands, let's say, there are some people that would definitely take this and fire back. Hell, Pat McAfee would disagree, So I have my personal preferences on marijuana use, and then I have what I feel like is what the public should do with marijuana. And there are two totally different things. Let's just be honest about that. So my personal preferences on marijuana is I don't use it personally because of my history, as somebody who has been in and out of the addiction cycle. Some people is able to do things like that, and it not hinder them in any way, shape, or form. But I'll tell you this right now: if somebody's an addict, a true addict, there's no way you can do marijuana, in my opinion. That's my personal story, right? This is the Paul that tried to go to rehab. I went to 12 rehabs. I went to prison 4 times. You guys know this, or if you don't know, now you do. I'm very open and honest about it. And I tried everything to be able to feel something outside of what my drugs of choice were, which was heroin or opiates, because it started with pills like most people, or even meth at some point in time. I even went there a little bit, but only when it was with heroin mixed together, which was a very dangerous proposition for me and something I'm not proud of, obviously. But marijuana was something that whenever I wanted to get away with something, or whenever I wanted to do something that I felt like I wasn't cheating myself, I would do marijuana. And it would be something that at the end of the day, for me as an addict, it puts me in situations where I'm around people that are selling it, right? At that point in time. Now you can get it legally, but let's just be honest, not everybody buys it legally, even still, right? So everybody's got a dealer. So you go to somebody to get this stuff, and that's not the only thing they sell, right? They may sell Molly, they may sell some kind of party drug, they may sell heroin, they may sell meth. And in my personal experience, eventually you're going to run into somebody like that. And if I'm already putting a substance into my body to feel different, this is my own personal experience, right, guys? I'm already at very high risk, right? It's like I'm already this high, but I want to get that high. So I know myself. And so while college athletes aren't necessarily in this type of scenario, it starts somewhere, right? I remember when I was 22 years old out of the Marines, just figuring out, I called my sister at a high school football game and said, I think I'm an addict. I think I'm addicted to this. And it was Oxycontin at the time. And so, and at that point in time, I was just smoking weed and doing, recreational stuff. And unfortunately, I got physically dependent on something. So, while there are people that claim that it helps them mentally, physically, and in all types of different situations, unfortunately for me personally, it doesn't do that. My overall opinion is completely different. You do you, man. If it's legal, do it. If you have a problem, pull it back before it's too late, because I do think there's a line you can cross, right? But the thing is if they're a true addict, 99.9% of the time, this is probably going to unleash a beast, and because it's just weed, people can justify using it every single day, all hours of the day. And, so that's just one of those things, right? And I don't know where you draw the line on it, but in college football, I do think we'll see some bad stories out of it. I think we'll see some good stories, and we'll hear some no stories. So that's kind of my thoughts on it. Rhett Rodriguez, I think, if the wrong people hear what he said, whether about you call it getting high, I think some people may jump onto him. But at the end of the day, there are worse things that can be done. Absolutely. Even alcohol. Alcohol is like one of the worst. It's up there with heroin. It really is, in excess. So just my personal opinion. I thought that was interesting that Rich Rod went that direction. Preston Fox is back. Let's talk about that really quick. Rich Rod started off the press conference talking about that. Halfway through spring practice, I think we made some progress. He was talking about that. Then he said, I got a call that he might want to come back. I know about him a little bit. I thought he was out of eligibility. I didn't realize he had another year. He called me and said he wanted to talk about coming back, and I said, sure. So he came over, we met, and I said, I'd love to have him. He's a good football player. I think all of his teammates love him, would love to have him, and it's good to have him. I think he's a guy that can help us in all four receiver positions. He's a smart guy, and he's got his second practice in today, and he'll be in full pads on Wednesday. It's a big deal, guys. I really believe that. Preston Fox is absolutely a good player. And while he's not elite, I do think he'll help this team for sure. And, one of the things about P. Fox is he helps you in multiple areas, whether that's blocking, whether that's receiving, whether that's punt return, whether that's kick return. And I'm glad he's back. I'm proud of him. I think he's a good player. And I think, maybe with a quarterback that can actually sling it around a little bit better, maybe he can have a little bit more production too. I absolutely think he'll get playing time. There's no doubt. So I'm really happy to see him back on the field. He's got a great story. We know that. Got to be happy for Preston Fox, guys. Well, let's go to a quick break. And on the other side of it, we'll talk more about the press conference, guys, because and I know Rich and Rhett both spoke today. Well, that was interesting. Rhett had some interesting stuff to say specifically, but so did Rich. We'll talk about him next. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is brought to you by Supply House. Get the supplies you need from site made for the skilled trades. It's Supply House. Whether you're plumbing, HVAC, or electrical, Supply House is the reliable way to produce and order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with the complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need delivered fast from coast to coast. Need help from an order? Well, Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge or a hard edge, like Rich Rod would say, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage. Now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Plus, promo code S-5-H for 5% off your first order. Do it today at supplyhouse.com. And we're also going to be brought to you by Wayfair. Did you know that Wayfair should reflect your style? And with Wayfair, it's easier than ever to make that happen, whether you're looking for a simple refresh or tackling that big home project. Wayfair has everything you need in one place. They got a huge selection that makes it easy to find the perfect piece, no matter your space or budget. From cozy furniture and stylish decor to kitchen essentials and outdoor must-haves, Wayfair has it all at a price that you fit your budget for sure. I was looking for a new rug, which I did get in my living room right here, and Wayfair has a ton of stylish options, and actually I got one of the better ones that they had, which was awesome. I was surprised to find everything from storage solutions to patio decor. They literally had it all, making it my go-to for all things home. And head over to wayfair.com and find something that's just your style today. That's WAYFAIR.com. Go to Wayfair. Every style, every home. And we are in segment 2, of course. Don't have a do. Got a Gatorade, though, for me and for you. And I spilled it on my face. So thank you guys for joining, though. What an interesting day it's been so far with Rich Rod and company doing what they do. It's one of those things where I'm like, what are they going to say this time? You just never know. And look, there's a lot going on in spring practice right now. This is a new system, a new install, new staff, new players, back home for the first time, a lot of pressure. And it's going to be crazy to see how this unfolds. Fascinating even. He talked about Larry Porter, what he's done in the past, and I've known him for a long time. He's worked for a lot of people that I respect. I kind of felt that I needed another veteran presence. I have some really good young coaches, but I need another veteran presence. So it's good to have Larry on board. He'll do a great job with our running back. Sounds like Rich Rod may have needed a drinking buddy. Like a Calvin McGee, right? Kind of like that. Talk about the running backs getting better. They're still getting in shape. I think for all of them, tempo is a little different for them. You can better believe that. Ty Edwards, has made a big step from when we first started practice. Now he's a 235-pound guy that can run and can get downhill. Pleased with his progress. And LJ Turner is another new young guy that I think has made some flashes. Dior Hubbard has done a good job. We may get Jaheim White back for the last part of spring practice. So that's a good thing as well. Very interesting. He also talked about the quarterback battle, which everybody wants to know about, of course. I do think they've gotten better each day. It's kind of gotten to where one day you see a couple guys take a step, and then another day you see it's another couple guys. Rhett's repping all 6 of them, and I think we basically come down to 4 guys before the end of spring. I like the room. I think they're really conscientious. I think they've gotten better, and it's some really good competition. Legit. It's not makeup competition. The veterans that have been around a little bit, Nico, Jalen, have done a good job, but Max Brown has got some skills, and I've been really impressed with Scotty Fox. I think he's got a great future. So I told you guys about all this, really. I mean, I did. Every single bit of this is what I've said. I told you guys literally yesterday that especially Nico and Jalen were shining, and that's the fact. It's just the fact. They are. But Max Brown continues to show that he's got an elite arm. we'll see where it takes him. I don't know. I think he's a guy that if he gets it right, could push anybody in that room for playing time. I don't think it'll be this year, but watch out for him in the future, guys. I'm dead serious on Max Brown. And then we know Scotty Fox definitely does have a great future. Hell, Rich plays freshman, right? So maybe it's this year if nobody else comes to the forefront. You never know. Let's get to a couple of the Rhett Rodriguez. I got my handy dandy notebook as always. He had, first of all, I want to say this about Rhett Rodriguez. I was impressed with him. He is under a lot of skepticism. He's under a microscope because of who he is. He's Rich Rod's boy. And I think a lot of people feel like there's a little nepotism involved here. Like you're the coach's son. Of course you get a job. But, I heard him talk today and I actually found him to be very competent. I found him to be very personable and I liked his answers. So let's talk about a couple of the answers that I liked. He said basically in his opinion, there's 4 quarterback coaches on this roster. Obviously Pat White, Rich Rodriguez, Rhett, which is him, and then obviously Travis Trickett. So that's an interesting take. I thought that was, and that could expedite a lot of the progress for these guys, or it could make it murky and hard for them to understand, not getting it from just 1 or 2 guys, 4 guys. So you can look at that both ways. He talked about the depth. There's a lot of depth at the quarterback spot, at least 3 guys. He feels they think they need 3 guys. They think they've got 3, or they will have 3, or they need to have 3. He kind of went all different directions there. They asked him specifically about Nico. He said game action is great, but the other guys have game action too. He didn't want to leave them out. And this is kind of how they are, right? They're not going to single anybody out. Asti asked him about coming home, which I thought was interesting. And he said he's not focused on the controversy, just very excited to be here. Being in the Power 4 and the Big 12 is huge. But hey, Mike tried. He said the only thing, here's the funniest thing I think he said. So they asked him because you're his son, basically you can check your dad because it's your dad, right? And he said the most he does is fights not to print so much paper. They call him a tree hugger. And that's as far as he pushes the envelope. Did you get what I wrote there? Ha ha ha. I thought it was funny when I wrote it down. You don't have to like it. You don't want to. Here's another cool thing. Rhett was on the headset for all the games last year, guys. So that means he had a full year in with the headsets on, listening to his dad call plays, and he was the communicator. So Rich would call play, and then Rhett would say, here's what you're looking for. This is what you're doing. And Rich would kind of survey the landscape and think about what calling next. So all he had to think about was the next play, and Rhett just communicated what the play specifically was, that specific play, the details. A really, really good idea, and I'm sure more coaches around the country do it. But I felt like that made me feel pretty cool about Rhett and his experience, because a game with the headphone, a year with the headphones on is a pretty big deal, in my opinion. I am showing my age. People say I got dad jokes. Did you notice his press conference? They had another slogan: cover 3, hit the seams. So that was another one. Oh, man. Let's go to another break really quick, guys. We'll come back on the other side and put a bow on this one. Stick around. This is Locked On West Virginia. And this episode of Locked On West Virginia is also going to be brought to you by FanDuel. March Madness is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action, in the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who's cutting down the nets. The personal things that I like about this app is it's simple to use, and when I win, I get paid right meow. So right now, guys, you should do the same thing. Visit FanDuel.com. Get in on college hoops action all tournament long. All right, guys. Thanks for joining me. We'll see if anybody picks up on the Rich Rod weed thing. I thought that was an interesting. I wanted to run with it. I wish too bad the X thing isn't working. Probably a lot of people would have been interesting to see what that was about, but it's not the end of the world. People will see it on YouTube as well. I want to talk basketball, but I think I'm going to come back here in a couple of hours and do just a full show. We obviously need to watch and see who wins between TCU and Colorado. And then we got to hope for that 20th win, right? I think 20 wins, you could talk about maybe getting down to a 9-8 seed. So we'll see. Obviously, the higher the seed, the better. If you can get to an 8, your first game is going to be it's going to be advantageous for you for the most part. There are some 9s out there that we're not going to want to play, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, guys. Thanks for joining. Rich Rod talking about weed, Preston Fox, and everything in between, and I'm here for it, guys. The quarterback battle is legit, and I'm here for that too. I'll see you on the next one. Have a great day, great week, and I'm out of here.